What's up, boys and girls? It's your boy Nepty. I hear the decks you make look like shit, and you need my help. We're gonna build a deck together and learn my philosophy. Nepty's gonna guide you out of that poverty.
What's up, everybody? It's Nepty. My voice is a little seahorse. Water pun. I spent the last few days training somebody, so I had to scream a lot, clearly. We're gonna make a deck today. We're gonna build a deck together, because I've seen way too many strange water jambalaya decks with no rhyme or reason behind, you know, what they're doing. No method behind the madness, just thrown together. Giant bowl of fuck it soup, sea creature, spaghetti junction. I don't even know how else to describe it. I'm trying to speed these intros up, so I'm trying not to hit past like a minute and a half. My average used to be 3 minutes, and clearly I'm making this one longer by talking right now, so I'll shut up. Go ahead and splash that like button, and then you can swim on over to the buoy bell and slap that motherfucker. That bell will let you know when I put out brand new high quality Mermail content. Alright, no time wasted, let's get right into this. Yeah. Alright, so you always want to start off with your Atlantean Mermail core, which some people argue of like what you should use, the ratios and everything else, but I'm just gonna get the obvious ones out of the way. We got let's see here, Neptibus. Alright, so you got 3 of that. That is always a 3, that is non-negotiable. If you don't have 3, I will fight you, so you know, be careful. I'm really good at fighting. And then we got here, what else? Okay, so next would be obviously Dragoons. You would never go without your triple Dragoons. So there's triple Dragoons right here, not to be confused with this piece of shit down here. But yeah, all right, so you have those, and then this is where it gets a little you know, back and forthy. The obvious ones are going to be, you can have 3 with 1 marksman. You could do which that's too much in my opinion. Some people go like this and they'll just have 2, and then some people go like this, which is my preference. Generally speaking, you want to hit 9 Atlanteans if you can manage that. But yeah, we're gonna go on to the Mermails now, and this is the other part of the core here. 3 of these. You can't play less than 3 Teus. It just does way too much for combos and baiting and everything else, and sending water monsters to the grave to activate their effects. It's just too valuable. You just trust me. Just trust your boy Nepty. Never deviate from 3. For your Megalos, some people just play the 1 and they'll use other cards in their extra deck to OTK, whatever it may be. That's fair enough. I always play 2. And then the last 2 Mermails are, you know, pretty non-negotiable. You really need a pike. There's a cool Dragoon pike combo that I've put on my channel. But there's also, he's part of the Teus Dragoons combo as well. So you kind of need him. He's definitely a piece, and he's not necessarily a brick when you draw him, because if you normal summon him and then ditch a water monster, you can actually get a minstrel to your hand, or any level 3 water monster, which is rather cool. It kind of opens up the book for, you know, all kinds of shit you want to throw in your deck. But we're not here to make some bullshit random water vomit deck. We're not here to do that. We're trying to play a very consistent deck. The last one is, of course, your Gund. That's just going to be your main Mermail core. There's, what, 7 of them, I believe? 4, yeah, plus 3, yeah, 7. That's the core of your deck. That's the main cards you're going to be running. So, alright, now for the mainstays. These are the cards you will literally always see in a Mermail deck. At least for this format, like I say with everything else. These cards just do way too much for the deck not to include them. So, starting off with, obviously, the Deepsea Diva. That is a 3 of 100% of the time. If it looks like this in your deck, once again, I will find you. Trust me, you need 3. This is just another way to get to Neptibus. That is the heart and soul of your combo engine. So there's no reason you wouldn't want to get to the Neptibus. But Diva is one of the most powerful one-card combo generators in the game. There's plenty you can do, as you've seen in my other videos and everyone else's videos out there. She just does way too much. Now, this part right here is up to your preference. Personally, I don't like running 3 minstrels in the main for the TCG. I usually just have 1 because I run cards that can search it. I generally can search it with just Dragoons, whatever it may be. There's no worse feeling than having 2 of these in your hand. When you get a minstrel in your hand and you get no Diva or no Neptybus, it's a little bit shit to just throw away parts of your hand. It just kind of sucks, you know what I mean? And I know most people run 3, so we're going to go ahead and leave it at 3. At least for right now. If we want to trim it, we can trim it. But so far, so good. You got your 9 Atlanteans, your 7 Mermails, and then your 6 Deep Seas. A lot of people don't like to run frogs. And I get it. I mean, it just having to play frogs doesn't always feel so good. You know, they're not sea serpents, you can't search them. But now, with the addition of sprites, you know, Sprite Elf, Gigantic Sprite, those 2 cards alone make this too valuable not to play. So, I can hear you yelling right now if you're somebody who doesn't quite like them, specifically one of my viewers who's the king of fucking frog hates, hilarious. But I'm here to make the most consistent and strong version of this deck that is possible, regardless of people's preference. So, I gotta do it, man. Forgive me, homie. But, yeah, we're gonna go with the frog engine here. That is 3 swap frog, 1 Ronin Totem. You don't need a dupe frog. You also don't need a second Ronin. He's already, like, an iceberg-sized brick of this deck. When you have it, nothing else. But yeah, I always recommend people play an engine of some sort. Frog engine is just by far the strongest. You have Ice Jades, and you have other stuff like that, too. Nimbles are pretty cool, but overall, frogs are just, like, overpowered right now. Now for the one-ofs that are absolutely busted in the Mermail Atlantean deck, we have the Fishboard Launcher. This card is stupid. If you run something like a Link Karibo, there's really cool tricks you can do with it since it's a level 1. It's a glow bulb. Of course, it's our version of glow bulb. Now, if you have any monsters in the grave that are not water, this is kind of like a dud. It's just a 1 summon and then make a Dragite, and then it goes to the fucking trash can. You can't ever get it out again. So, but between Ronin Totem and your Fishboard Launcher, these 2 are just the key to making links like crazy. So, definitely recommend playing your Fishboard over something like a Jet Synchron. Lapis Dragon. Boom. Now, Lapis Dragon, if you don't have the Diva to start with, and all you got is the Neptybus, you can at least go into Hulk. And Hulk of Fibrax does a lot. The Lapis Dragon also lets you go into things like Coral Dragon, which is also a tuner that can go into bigger synchros. Yeah, it's just a very good card. It also has a fat ass. As you can see, 2600, that's nothing to scoff at. This is the second major brick that you can start your hand with. If you draw it going second, well then you can activate it right away, and that kind of baits hand traps as well. And this is part of a lot of different combos, but it is a brick. You know, Mermails used to be a lot brickier, whether you believe that or not. It used to be shit tons more bricky. Nowadays, most cards you have in your hand have a function, so yeah. But let's go on to the third one of, and this is like the king of one-ofs, Glacia. Now, you gotta have this card. This is a win condition for this deck, 100%. Any way you can do it, if you've seen the Sprite combo video I have, just make Dweller first and then go into this, and it's just GG's, man. They just lose everything. But stripping 2 cards, that is absurd these days. And also, it kind of gives you deck information. You can't see their hand, but you can kind of tell what they're running by what goes into the grave. But yeah, Glacia is still a very, very strong card that absolutely should be played. And this is the main set of monsters. Now, whenever I hit over 10 spells of traps or hand traps, I get real upset. I don't know why. That's just because I noticed too many spells in my hand and I can't go off with my monsters. The whole goal of this is to get as many water monsters as you can fit without literally drowning yourself in pointless cards. So, but this is where we're gonna settle right now with the water monsters we have. You can add extenders if you want. You can put in, like, let's see, Shitana is a good one. You can go Aqua Spirit, which is always good. You know, Aqua Spirit, very, very good extender. You can go with Nettle, let's see, Nettle. Silent Sea Nettle here, which is a good way to recur your pieces. The fact that it locks you into water, that's a little bit shitty. I don't really like to put any cards like that in my deck. But, you know, whatever your speed is, if you have an extra deck filled with water monsters, it's not going to really be a detriment to you. So, I'm not going to run any extenders. Call me crazy. I don't really find I need them, especially when I have so many monsters that can just summon themselves to the field without a normal summon, like the 2 Megalo, the Teases, the Frog package, Lapis Dragon, whatever else, Moulin Glacia, you know, Fishboard Launcher. These are all things that can just summon themselves. I consider them all sort of extenders, and I use them all for links anyway. So, alright, we're going to go on to the spells, traps, and hand trap area. Spoilers, I'm not going to be putting hand traps. Clearing away the #1 spell that we're going to be putting in here is 1 for 1. 1 for 1 is another Neptybus, as well as allowing you to normal summon something else. You do have to send a monster to the grave to be able to summon one from your deck, but who cares? It's worth it. It's worth it to have the as I call it, the 7th Neptybus because of Diva. But yeah, so we're gonna go on to the next thing, which is going to be your Mizuchi. If you play this deck and you don't play Mizuchi specifically in this format, you're an idiot. You have to play this, or you know, you could play other of the armor spells, but this one is far and away the best right now, especially because we have things like Ultimate Slayer, Super Poly, what else? Droplet, Dark Ruler No More. This is a very unique card. Its negation resolves at the resolution of the spell that is activated. And if you read those other cards, they say spells and stuff can't be activated in response to this card's activation. Well, Mizuchi has a way around that. So you have to run this card. It's just too good. I would say out of all spells, traps, and whatever else, these are the only two that are mandatory, in my opinion, in Mermails. Some people run Small World, so they'll go ahead and not run a 1 for 1, which is, you know, fair enough, but having to do math when you're in the middle of a game, trying to figure out stats and shit like that, it's not for everybody. So, yeah, you can just do whatever you want. I'm choosing to run the 1 for 1 and the Mizuchi. Okay, so the third one that you can argue is like pretty stupid good for this deck, that pretty much every deck should be running as long as they're, you know, available. A lot of people hate this, but let's see here. Called by. There we go. Called by the Grave. You can only play one, but you should be playing one. This card is an out for your Diva, your Neptybus to go through. Hand traps get fucked by this, as well as, you know, everything else that goes to the grave and then is just a pain in the ass. So run the one called by until it gets banned. Alright, for the next spells, now this is kind of up to you. All I'm going to tell you is that the ratio should matter, meaning your spell to monster ratio. And when I say spell, that encompasses traps and hand traps. So, in my humble opinion, try to maintain around 25%. So, 10 spells, traps, or hand traps. Now, you can go up to 12 of them, down to 8 of them, whatever it is. There's too many powerful spell cards not to play spells. I know some weirdos out there just played 3 Sekka's Light, and they were just like, yep. It's like, I'm sorry, but there's not 37 good water monsters to be putting in this deck. I'm sorry, there's just not. There's a lot of bad water cards, believe it or not. I know you want to just go ahead and throw anything in here, but trust me, you can get a load of shit in your hand. So try to maintain around 25%. That is like the goal to get a good hands. For this format, a card that is good is Triple Tactics Talent. Let's see here. Whoa. Okay. Alright, now you could do 3 of these. For me, once per turn cards. I've just had this too many times where I had 2 of these in my hand and my opponent somehow never activated shit from a monster on my turn. That's 2 dead cards right there. So I don't run 3 of these. I find that to be a little bit too much. I think 2 is just fine. So what else is good? What else is good? Okay, Pot of Avarice. That's a perfect card to get here. Pot of Avarice. There we go. But I'm good with 2. I think 2, you'll see it because you're going to blow through a lot of these monsters real quick. While you're playing, you'll be dumping like 13, 14, 16 into the grave. Easy peasy. And then you're going to increase the chances when you're drawing to get to one of these Pot of Avarices for late game. That'll let you put your resources back into the deck. So, alright, Deepsea Aria. That's a really, really good one. I love this card so much because it just gets you a way to get to like an infantry if you need it last second, a Dragoons if you have a Teus in the hand, a Diva if you fucking got nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just does too much. This card is very, very good. So, I'm going to run 2 of them for this build at least. Now, what we could do here, I'm going to go ahead and throw double Imperm. Now, you can do 3 Imperm. You can get rid of Arias altogether. But, you know, this is the ratio you want to go for. A lot of water monsters with a nice, healthy 10, 11, maybe 9 spell and trap zone area here. You can also get rid of like your Arias and your Imperms or something like that and just go for like 4 hand traps. But the problem with low hand traps is you'll either get like a hand trap or you'll just have nothing but your, you know, engine pieces or whatever else. So it's kind of very inconsistent. That's why I don't go that route. And it's not just about the launcher and whether or not you can summon them out again. If you have too many bodies that are not water, you end up not being able to make pieces go. So, a lot of people, they complain about Mermails being bricky. It's literally how you build your deck is why it's bricky. Also, having draw cards. The Pot of Avarice puts back your resources and draws 2. Triple T, what do you think it does? It gives you the option to draw 2. So this is what I'm going to stick with here for this build. I usually like running triple Imperms. That's just me. I refuse to go with more than 11. I don't like going to 12. I find it's just too many. Alright, so that'll be the main deck. Let's go test it out. Test hands. This is very important. Oh, look at that. See? Right away. You can use your Minstrel, send the Dragoons, and then pop off from there. So let's go ahead and do it again. Okay, I'm not even going to explain that one. That one's obvious. See, look at that consistency right here. Now, drawing a Mizuchi kind of sucks, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. You already have a starter. You have a potential Toad here. You got Fishboard Launcher. You have ways, and then you also have your Impermanence. Let's keep going. Alright, that's good. Oh, look at that. Double frogs. Nice. Alright. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to explain this one's just good. Alright, good. Alright, good. Nice. Look at that Dragoons Teus combo. Got a triple T and a swap. Holy shit. Alright, this one, even this one's good. There you go. You could just use the 1-for-1 and then just, you know, shenanigans. Shenanigans everywhere. That's good. That's good. I haven't skipped any of these, by the way. This is like uncut. This is pretty good. See, like right here, this is why I don't run 3 of the Minstrel usually in my builds. Drawing 2, what am I supposed to just send 1 with 1? It's just fucking stupid. But overall, it really won't matter. You'll be able to go into your normal Diva play because you have an infantry and a prince, and then you have a follow-up big ass and, you know, whatever else. So, still good. Yep, that doesn't need explaining. Alright, so this one, as long as you have the 1-for-1, see, this is coming in clutch, you know, I think it's good. I really value the 1-for-1, but yeah, let's keep going. Alright, Diva. We'll do like 5 more. Alright, now, see, this one, even this one, you just summon out an infantry, and then use your 1-for-1, and then just send another infantry, go into Nepty, and you can still do your fucking Diva play. So, it looked like ass when you first drew it, but, you know, still good. Alright, very good hand, very good. Alright, decent. You get a Impermanence, you get a Called By, then you go into a Toad play. Not too great, but it's still, it's something. It's a good defensive board, but... Okay, you can see what I'm doing. We're going to spam through all these. You can see what I'm talking about. Alright, so that's enough. I'm not going to do any more, but yeah, that just shows you the true consistency of the build that I made. Ario is almost always live with the build we made. There's so many ways to get water monsters to the grave. Aria is always going to be available, so very, very good. Alright, for your extra deck, this one's pretty self-explanatory. There's a lot of them that are just kind of staples. You don't ever deviate from them. Like, obviously, totally awesome until it is Bannerino'd. You're going to play 2 if you can play it. You can play 1 if you want to, but, you know, there's always the second way. Since we play the frog package, there's always a way to get to that second one, but we'll trim it if we need room. And what goes with that, obviously, is Bahamut. Bahamut Shark. There you go. There's your other way to get to your totally awesome. Alright, now from here, I think for this format, it's definitely going to be Dweller. That's just an obvious choice here. It just does way too much to keep you safe from specifically tier elements. Sprites is another one. All manner of graveyard decks get shut down by this card, and it is super easy to get to for us. Obviously, if you have any way to get to Diva, or any way to get to, like, you know, Neptibus and whatever else, an extender, any extender plus Neptibus pretty much goes straight into the same Diva play. So we can get to that combo pretty reliably, so definitely run the Dweller for this format. I would say we're going to go with the homie. Now this one is kind of up to you. Fuck, I can't even spell his name. My daddy-o. Gaios. I believe this is a mainstay. If anything, this shuts down boards. Whenever you want to, you can activate it and shut down whatever they have on the field, which is pretty fucking amazing. But yeah, I just think this is a standard pick for the deck. It's also the only real main boss monster for Mermails. Yeah, you don't have to play it if you don't want to, but again, this is just a general standard tier with the new addition of just adding Dweller back in. I personally have never played without Dweller, but you know, that's just me. As our 6th XE, we're going to go with Gigantic Sprite here. This card kind of just breaks the game wide open here. A lot of people putting this instead of a second Toad. I've seen that, which is, it's whatever. It's up to you. When we go to Synchros, the only one I can think that is a surefire 100% is going to be Dragite. Now, let's see here. Yeah, Dragite here. You can do cards like Locust here. You can go into Desert Locust and then strip another card on your opponent's turn. I find that my own style of play, I go into Halqifibrax and I link them off too much to do that. You can do cards like Formula Synchron is okay as well. The only reason I don't play Formula is mainly because there's so many issues with timings. Yeah, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. So I generally don't play that one anymore. It's just too frustrating. So we're going to leave it at 1 Synchro right now. But now we're going to get on to the links. Now, there are plenty of links that we run. The main one, obviously, until they ban it, is going to be the Halqifibrax here. Just a very overall strong card, amazing for combos. It's just busted. You know, there's just too many things it can do. It's probably going to get the ban hammer, and I don't really want it to because it just does too much for us. But you got to live and evolve, so if it happens, it happens. We're Mermail players. We will continue, so it doesn't matter. Next on the list that I can think of, I'm not going to put Linkuriboh. That is my own personal choice. That is not a card people normally run, so I will not be putting it in this list. But another card that people do run, obviously, is going to be Abysslacia. So there you go. Boom. Abysslacia is a very, very busted card. In my opinion, she's my favorite extra deck monster just because she does so much searches. There's a lot of cool plays and interactions you can do with the Toad. I don't know. She's just all around amazing card. But yeah, after that, we're gonna go with Coral Anemone. I think is an amazing card. There's another synchro you can go with here is Coral Dragon if you want to play that, because all you need is an Neptybus, send goons, add goons, and then with the goon search you get a Lapis Dragon summons itself, then you go into a Coral Dragon, and then you can send the Dragoons you added to your hand or another infantry you added to your hand to double pop. So that's very cool. It is a very, very good card. It's just these days I just don't play it as much. But we're gonna go with the Coral Anemone. This is just a way to get your Neptybus back to the field, as well as your Swap Frog back to the field. So that's pretty cool. The next card that comes to mind is gonna be the Buchinki. Now, some people don't play it, but most Mermail players do. This card just does way too much, letting you go into your Bahamut Shark. All you need is the Fishboard and the Neptybus, and then the Dragoons in the grave, Dragoons in hand. That's kind of how we usually do it. If you have Teus, then you will get an extra search by sending your Dragoons, and then you will search the Pike and add that to the hand, and then you'll use that for the Buchinki. So yeah, a lot of ways to do it, but Buchinki is an amazing card. Good old boojin fun. Alright, next we're going to do a new one for this format, which is the Water Charmer. Now, this one is very, very good versus Sprites, Adventure, Tier Elements, anything that sends water monsters to the grave. I know Tier Elements is more dark, but they do go into the Bahamut Shark and, you know, summon out the Totally Awesome and everything else. So I normally don't ever play this card, but it's a good tech choice for today's game. So I'm going to throw it in here anyway. It takes the place of Miss Starboy pretty easily. The next Link monster is going to be Sprite Elf. This card is really good. It adds your Swap Frog back from the grave to your field, and then on your opponent's turn, you can add a Totally Awesome from the grave to the field and then reuse its negate. So this is, in my opinion, not a format specific choice here. This one is just a mainstay until they ban it. That's just my opinion between that and Gigantic Sprite. Gigantic Sprite also allows you a way to get rid of your Buchinki Ahashima, because normally this card can't be linked off. Well, it can now be used to XC, believe it or not, with the Gigantic Sprite. So yeah, very, very cool two cards here. The new additions. Sprite has helped Mermails out a lot. The Water Charmer is just very good in general, this format. We have two more spots. I think Appaloosa is the obvious choice here. So we're gonna go, ooh, which art do we want to use? We'll just go with the one everybody knows. This is the one that most people have because it's just a cheaper card. Appaloosa, this card is just a card we can always go into. No matter what, you can always go into it with 3 materials. And if you want to, you can go in with 4. Unless you play the Link Karibo, I do not recommend using 4 materials for an Appaloosa. Someone's going to find a way to get rid of it, and then you wasted materials. So, yeah, generally speaking, every time you summon this, you're going to have a 3 material Appaloosa. That's still 3 monster negates, so that's amazing. I think for the final card here, you can choose something like an access code, which is really nice for the OTK, but that I recommend for people who only play the one Megalo. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead, we can go with like a Crocodragon, we can go for a Desert Locust here, you can ditch the Water Charmer and then just add in the Scythe Lock stuff. I like the Scythe Lock, but right now the format is not good for it. I'm just gonna let you know, because everybody's walking around with bells and DD Crows and fucking everything else that just banishes from the graveyard. So, yeah, it's just stuff to be aware of. We're just going to go with a Desert Locust here, just because, you know, a lot of people run it, and it's pretty consistent. You know, it gets you another way to strip another card, you know, overall. So I think this is like a good, balanced extra deck here. A lot of power in this extra deck. But, again, this is just up to you. This has nothing to do with consistency. You don't want a lot of wasted cards, so if you have like 5 different like level 8 synchros, you got a problem, you know what I mean? If you have like triple toad and you don't really need more than 2, you never really get... They can send itself back to the extra deck, so just plan out your extra deck, and a lot of these cards are going to depend on what you have to deal with at your locals. Speaking of your locals, you want to go to your locals the week before you plan on bringing your deck. Walk around to the tables, introduce yourself if you're new, check out what everyone is playing. If you notice they have a shit ton of back row decks, you want to have Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, Red Reboot, Twin Twister, Cosmic Cyclone, you know, that kind of shit. Things to clear out the back row. If they play a lot of combo heavy stuff, generally speaking, things like Droll and Lock will be amazing. Stopping them from adding more and more cards to their hand is incredible. Hand traps are going to help you with those decks. If they're playing tier 1 decks and stuff like that, your meta choices in the new format, we're going to make an extra deck specifically for that today. So yeah, let's get started. Before you add anything to your side deck, you need to look at your main deck and see what you'll be siding out going first or second. Obvious turn 1 cards in the main right now, the Frog Engine, you could take out 4 cards right there, obviously. Deepsea Aria is also, in my opinion, a turn 1 card. Just gets you to the Diva to let you do your plays. It's not so much a going second powerhouse, especially when they have all their negates on the board as well as hand traps. I personally leave in the Mooling Glacia, but that's just me. Going first, you can even side out the 1 Megalo here. We have quite a few cards that are good going first and second, so you have your Triple T as well as your Double Imperm. Those are really good going first or second. You can argue that Pot of Avarice is good either way, doesn't matter. So yeah, just plan like that. You don't want to dedicate so many slots for one deck. You know, you want to have cards that are generally good across the board if you can get them. So generally good across the board going second is a Kaiju. So we're gonna go ahead and get us, put 2. I'm gonna put 2, just 2 for now. If we need more, that's what we're doing. We're building this together. These are good no matter what you're playing against. Just removing troublesome floodgate asshole. They put all their material and effort into making one monster, and then you just say, I'll tribute it. It's just, there's no better feeling in the world. So for the format currently, there's a lot of Sprite players. I'm going to be building my sideboard partially to go against that. So for the only hand trap I plan on running, Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Because I play a lot of extra deck monsters that they do as well. So this card is very good. You can do 2, you can do 3, like always. I'm just going to be doing 2 of them because it's not the only card I'm going to be playing that'll combat that. As well as I don't want to be flooding my main deck with hand traps. And the next card I can think of right off the bat, it's everyone's favorite tech choice for this format here. Because it's good going against Sprite, it's good going against tier elements, and that's going to be Dark Ruler no more. Ruler, boom. Now, this is a 3 of. Yeah, instantly it's a 3 of in my opinion. Just seeing this just does too much. It shut down like 4 or 5 cards. It's pretty strong. Any way you look at it, we're going to go ahead and leave 3 of them there. So here's another card that can break multiple boards, and that's going to be your Droplet. Boom. That's an easy 2 of right there. Yeah, this card is very, very good in combination with like Diva. If they try to Imperm, if they try to Veiler, whatever it is. So as you can see, a lot of these cards here are good to go second. But the droplets are good to go first or second, so it's kind of like up in the air. But we're going to focus on getting cards that are very good going first. So for the first card I think of going first is a very strong card that I've been picking up from following Terry and how he plays. After talking with him about this card, I think it's just too good against too many decks not to play it. It shuts down way too many things. And that's going to be the Zombie World. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add a few of those. Let's see. Yeah, sure, we can get 3 of them in there. Now, this card is really good. You want to set up your board, do all your plays, set up your toads, and then you go into this. And this card shuts down a lot of decks, a lot of rogue matchups, a lot of good meta decks. Like right now, Sprites, you can't make a toad if you don't have 2 level 2 Aqua. and this thing turns everything on the field as well as everything in your grave into a zombie. So yeah, no toad plays, which is like the heart and soul of sprites right now. So that's something to think about, as well as it's also good against birds. It shuts down Flounderies like crazy in a lot of different ways. It shuts down Sword Soul. It just shuts down so many decks. This is just a well-rounded card, and having cards that you can play versus multiple decks is kind of what you want to do. As long as it shuts down the meta as well, you're good to go. And for the last card that I'm going to go ahead and put in this side deck, is going to be a card that is great against both of the top 2 decks in the meta, but it also shuts down fucking anything rogue if you know what they're going to go for. And that's going to be Dimensional Barrier. I know some people consider it slow, but we're trying to pick cards that are going first oriented. So Dimensional Barrier is the perfect choice for that. You can shut down any XEs. You can shut down fusions. So that's tier elements. You just say, nope, you're not allowed to fusion summon. You're not allowed to XE. You're not allowed to synchro. It's just too many decks rely on those 3 mechanics. And it's just too good for it. Now, this is my choice, but overall, these are great choices to play against today's format. In my humble opinion, if you want to change some stuff, by all means, go ahead. So that's it for the 101 on how to build a deck for Mermail Atlanteans, water, whatever you want to call it. God damn it, it's called Mermails, you son of a bitch. But yeah, that's gonna be pretty much the rundown of how to prepare. Again, go to your locals, check around before you start building a side deck. It makes no sense to have a side deck already made when your locals has players that run decks that your side deck does not help against. So I hope this guide helped you. Now go out there and make some waves. Water pun. Alright, so after this, I hope you guys have a better idea of how to make a deck and go conquer. Go get them, Tiger Shark. This is a puntastic water channel. Get over it. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. And you can also check the description below for the link to the Discord. There's a lot of like-minded people who love Mermails and everything water, so until next time, boys.